It's Wednesday, September 10th. You're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host here, Jason Cooper, alongside my producer, Jacob Gramegna, and you will be ours for the next hour. We're going to be looking at a great show today. Honestly, I hate giving Moretto credit. Jacob, I hate it, right? But
yeah.
He cooked.
He did well with this one.
He cooked with this lineup, all right? Off the top, we have Mr. Peanut Bettor. We're going to be taking a look at the college football landscape, a little bit of holistic approach, a little bit of a larger view of college football. Take a step back, look at the bigger picture. Then we got Drew Dinsick coming in. We're going to talk to some Week 2 NFL games that he's already bet or he's looking to bet. Just take a look at the card. We have some disagreements there, which I'm actually excited to get into. And then finally, Kirk Evans is going to be in the fold. He's going to be talking some WNBA playoff preview. So if you're looking to bet on the WNBA and excited for the playoffs, this is the place to be. Before we get into today's show, quickly, do us a favor. Smash that like button. It goes a long way for us in the algorithm. And then if you're new to the channel, it's your first time viewing this, hit the subscribe button. If you don't hit the subscribe button off the top and you make it to the end of the show, hopefully we earned your subscription. So, yeah, that's a little bit there. It does a lot for us here in the algorithm. It does a lot for me. We're around 3,770 subscribers on this channel. I think we can easily hit 4K by the end of September. That's the goal. So if we can do that, that's a big help. And if you really like the show, do us a favor, share it to a friend. Going to bring on Mr. Peanut Bettor in a sec. Peanut Bettor, sorry, in a sec. Before I do, I want to quickly talk to you guys about our Wednesday newsletter here at the Hammer. So it started off earlier in the summer as just a Friday newsletter. Kirk Evans was in the fold. He was covering everything there. But then as time went on, people were asking for more. So we give you more, right? We had the Monday newsletter that came out. Sumo gave out his opinions on week 1 of NFL, a little bit of a recap. There was some injury news stuff in there. I thought it was really, really well written. And this Wednesday newsletter is chock full of goodness. We have unique data, updated injury information, a little bit of an update as well on our Circus Survivor and Super Team entries. It's a must-read for anyone who bets on the NFL, and you can find it very soon towards the end of today at thehammer.bet.
All right, guys.
A little bit of a preview there. It's all good. And also, for those who don't know, yes, we're going to be previewing a GRP video, which I mean have been absolutely fantastic.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. I like that preview off the hop to keep people staying for a little longer. All right, let's bring up Mike, Mr. Midnight, I call him. College football bettor. He's a niche entertainment market donator. The only guy I know who can bet bet craps using a quant, which was a crazy story. But yeah, let's get Mike up in here. Mike, Mr. Peanut Bettor, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to read that Hammer newsletter here now that we have some quality minds working on instead of just Kirk. So, I just subscribed when I heard other people were finally participating in it.
That's a good way to go about things. And honestly, like Mike, I'm not gonna lie, I promoted this lineup today. It's you, Drew, and Kirk. And no offense to you two, but Drew's carrying the load here. Like, if I had to go through an entire show talking to just you and Kirk, I think I'd have to you need to put me on some painkillers to deal with that.
Yeah, it makes sense. You put him in the middle. That way you can, put in, it's like a shit sandwich with him in the middle.
There you go. All right. Let's start talking about college football, because you wanted to talk about a couple things, like a holistic approach. We're now 2 weeks into the season. I guess 3 technically if you count week 0. But you feel like the national title is like one of the most wide open you can remember in recent history. Why do you feel like that is?
Yeah, I think that, the past couple of years, there's been a couple of just major favorites that have been more likely than not to win the title, a handful of teams. This is the first year we've had where there's just a large group of people who I think can win it. I think that that's primarily due to the age of the quarterbacks. If you look at the top teams right now, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, all these teams have young quarterbacks at the helm. Which is something that we haven't seen in a while. The past couple of years, we've seen teams go out and get veteran quarterbacks. Think of Ohio State last year, got Will Howard, a guy who was a proven starter. This year, there's a lot of variables with QBs that we don't know what we can get from them on the most talented teams. So I think that's what's caused it to be a more wide open race than you would otherwise see. Yeah, for sure. And the odds absolutely reflect that. Ohio State is the favorite right now at plus 600. But then you have Georgia, Penn State, plus 650, Texas, plus 700, Oregon, LSU, around 10-1 range. Is there anyone on those teams, not specifically the ones I listed, but do you feel like any of those teams have a certain quarterback who you're looking at and saying, hey, like this, although they may be young, this quarterback might give this team an edge looking towards the national championship? Sure. I think Penn State, first off, the one quarterback that is experienced in that group, Drew Aller, a lot of people kind of are down on him. I think that we value the unknown and the upside of guys too much, and we value guys who have had flops on the big stage a little, not enough. Just because Drew Aller hasn't had success yet at this level doesn't mean that he can't. Just again, he was younger in those early games that he's had kind of the big mistakes, and people kind of put this progression on a quarterback. Well, he hasn't won the big one, but just because you haven't won the big one at age 20 doesn't mean you can at age 21, 22. And the other guy I would say is Dante Moore for Oregon. He was someone that I was pretty questionable coming in on the year. He was a high recruit, played a little bit his freshman season at UCLA, sat last year with Oregon, didn't play at all. And has looked really good coming in. So he's got the talent. He has a little more experience than the other guys, just as far as he has played in a college system at a lower level with UCLA, or is still in the Big Ten, but not at a national championship contending level, but still does have that experience. So I think that those are the two guys that I trust a little bit more right now.
Yeah, Penn State looks really good coming out the gate as well. Got to keep an eye on Oregon here. And we're talking a little bit about QB, so let's talk about this new trend that you've been noticing. You feel like that there's more, I guess this is like just the way that football is going, but we're seeing less traditional pocket passers, more sort of that running style QB. Why do you think that is?
Sure. I think that not only are teams now having a running quarterback, but they're also having what I would consider almost not a wildcat quarterback, but a wildcat-esque guy that they bring in for these short yardage situations. If you look at like James Madison is a perfect example, played on Thursday. Alonzo Baird is a very good athlete. He's a good running quarterback, yet they still had Matthew Saluka come in and run the ball, I think 12 times in that game. So these coaches are realizing that the burden of having a running back can have, but also realizing its value. So I think they're going to these substitute quarterbacks and having them come in. You don't tire your main guy out. You don't have him take all those hits over the season, but you still get the value of having the extra person in the running game, which in college is even more valuable because the gap between the athletes of the quarterbacks and the defensive ends isn't quite as large as it is in the NFL. So these coaches, I think, are being pretty creative in the way that they're using multiple quarterbacks that I just haven't seen before. It reminds me of the Wildcat, but instead you're getting someone who can at least feasibly pass.
Yeah, fair enough here. I want to switch over and talk a little bit about the AP poll because we saw a little bit of controversy in terms of that. I know it's not gospel. I know it's not that important, but I believe it was Haley Sawyer who the poll was public. She got a lot of flack for it. How do you feel about her getting Haley Sawyer? Excuse me. How do you feel about her getting flack for her AP poll? Like, it doesn't really matter that much. We know who the good teams are. We don't need numbers beside them to tell us how good they are. So, do you feel like that's important? And do you feel like the reaction to it was justified?
So, for her specifically, it's tough because you don't want to stick up for the person. Both with her explanation of the process was very bad, and obviously the vote itself is one thing, but the explanation and kind of the dismissal of any kind of concerns about it was pretty rough. But I think that in general, she does have a point that we are aggregating so many opinions that a few bad opinions probably is not going to affect the outcome all that much. I do think that these polls matter more than people think. There is, the committee comes out with their own poll, and that's what actually matters. Everybody says that. But there is an anchoring to the first poll that you give them. I think that people really do, even if it's subconsciously, value where the team is ranked on the AP vote at certain points in the season. So I do think these votes matter. One individual person, I'm not sure it does because there's so many voters. And at least to her, to stick up for her some, I would say that she's far from the only bad voter in this poll. There's lots of bad voters, but when you have lots of voters, you're just going to get bad options. I don't think it's a very good system, but at the same time, I think that in the end, it probably starts to wash out more than people think.
Is there a better system that we can employ, or is this just like a kind of old thing that we need to just, I don't know, like get rid of or just forget about and just stick to the side? It's almost like UFC rankings to make it like a little bit of something that I can relate to, where like half of the guys who vote on those rankings aren't even like reporters anymore. They don't even vote. It's like just a made up thing. What do you...
Yeah, I think you just have to reduce the poll of the number of people who vote. I think there's clearly some kind of AP. If you're the Associated Press, you want to look out for writers, give writers opportunities. But at the same time, I just don't need a beat reporter. And they try to go with national coverage by picking all these beat reporters out from across the country. And a lot of them just don't watch the games nationally at the level you need to have an opinion on teams, which is fine. But they just need to reduce the poll. I would be fine if, the playoff committee did it the entire season, just give out preseason rankings. And they say that they only want to judge what's on the field. But we know that there's biases that go into the season at all times. So I just think that the voting committee needs to be smaller. It's similar to the Heisman, where there's just so many people that have a vote. You're just going to find incompetence.
Yeah, maybe we come up with our own little hammer top 25 poll, and that might be the way to do it, because it's always tough to see who's actually watching the games. You don't really know. So yeah, maybe that's something I'll pitch to Moretto and Rob, and maybe we can do something with that. I will say though, Mike, you're probably not going to be on there as just a non-ball watcher.
Well, I have to say, yeah, I think that what they're really going to embrace is the Canadian gambling companies' rankings of college football teams. That's what the SEC fans are going to really kind of get behind. I can see that coming right now.
Perfect. All right, let's. You mentioned the SEC there. Let's flip over to the SEC and take a look at just the odds right now. Right now, Texas and Georgia are the two front runners there. Is there anyone you're looking at in terms of odds that you're willing to bet right now? Any teams that you think could sneak up and win the SEC here, or is this market just about right?
So call me a sucker, but I still believe in Florida as a longer shot odds.
Okay.
Their schedule has gotten even tougher since the start of the season. It was going into the season was looked at as probably the toughest schedule in the entire NCAA. And then they've only had Miami get stronger, Florida State get stronger. But the teams that have gotten stronger are outside of their conference schedule. I think that a lot of the rating here is based on their win schedule, which involves a very tough out of conference. This game they lost versus South Florida, it looked really bad. They also have a lot of guys that were, banged up during preseason and weren't at their top capability, to start the season. They looked out of rhythm on offense. So I think that there's a chance they turn this around. It's not a very great chance, but they have the talent for longer shot odds that I think it's probably worth at least looking into and seeing. So I've been a Florida Gators believer. It has cost me dearly so far this season, but hopefully I'm going to go down with the ship.
All right. I love it. Florida right now, 22-1 over on FanDuel, taking a decent amount of it, about to win $5K. So if you're looking to bet some SEC futures, FanDuel is your place to go. Let's flip over and talk Big Ten Conference because I'm biased and I really like USC. Give me a little bit about holistically what you like about this conference, who you like in there, and when USC finally beats a legitimate team, how much are you moving them up your rankings?
I already have USC near the top of the Big Ten, at least at fourth place right now, which I think probably backs up your opinion there. I think that, can I see those odds are, can you give them to me?
So Ohio State right now, plus 185, Penn State plus 220, Oregon plus 390, Michigan 12-1, USC 16-1, Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska 30-41 range. I can keep going, but I feel like you won't want the rest of the board.
No, you're good there. I think that there is value right now on Penn State. I know that I've already kind of banged that drum, but I think they get Oregon at home. They play Ohio State. There probably is going to be there's a decent chance of a three-way tie between those two teams. I think Penn State having the chance to play Oregon at home is a big advantage for them in that spot. And if they do lose that game at home, they still have a second chance at Ohio State in order to overcome that. So I think that the Penn State generally is a pretty good value here. I've been high in them all season. So similar to Florida, maybe I'm just going down with the ship. They haven't looked great. I think they're just kind of been in a kind of stall it out mode to kind of just get to the Oregon game that's playing there. I think that they have not shown a lot. And I think compared to past years that they are playing a little bit more conservatively, a little bit more just kind of getting to the end of the game here until they play Oregon. So I think them having Oregon at home is a big advantage for them. So that's why I would probably find the value in them right now.
All right, plus 220. And then let's just talk about Michigan and USC because they're side by side. But like after what I saw this week from Michigan, where they weren't really willing to let the ball go with their freshman quarterback. They were playing more conservative on the road as underdogs. It's something you don't really want to see. That's something that doesn't really inspire you in terms of a team that can win the conference. But think USC would be willing to do that. So them, Michigan being 12-1, USC being 15-1. Do you feel like that's kind of a misstep? I know you mentioned them as fourth, but at 15-1 for USC, what number would you need to bet on them to win the conference?
Yeah, I'd have to look at their schedule a little bit more in depth in order to have a number that I felt really good about. I would say that I think that USC is a better overall team than Michigan right now. So kind of regardless of schedule, if you ask me which one that I thought had a higher rating or had a better chance of beating one of the better teams, I would pick USC. I think they certainly have a higher ceiling than Michigan does. Michigan's offense is always been somewhat limited. I think that we have not seen kind of the creativity out of Moore that I would have liked to see with Bryce Underwood not carrying the ball really at all in that Oklahoma game. And just in general, they have not kind of expanded beyond the smash mouth style that they first had when they had Harbaugh, but they don't have the guys to play smash mouth football right now in terms of dominating their opponent. So I would say that USC has a higher ceiling for sure. I like their quarterback play, and I think that they probably are the fourth best team in the Big Ten by a decent margin.
All right, let's flip over and talk some marquee games for this upcoming slate. Let's start off with the noon kickoff game, the marquee game on that the first slate there. Clemson taking on Georgia Tech. Clemson right now around, what is it, Jacob? Minus 3, is that 4.5, 3.5?
Yeah, minus 3.5.
Minus 3.5 there, slightly juiced. Clemson on the road, favorites right now. Tell me what you like about this game.
It's going to be interesting. It would be something that I am going to watch live to see how, if at all, Haynes King is limited by his injuries. He did not play last week with a lower body injury. They also played a team that had zero threat to them whatsoever. So I do think he would have played if the game mattered, but he's a very physical quarterback. He runs a lot. Any kind of limitation on his health is going to impact them greatly. And you saw at the end of the Colorado games, he was really kind of limping there. With 20 carries, really had a huge workload. So if he's healthy and good to go, I like the number at 3.5. I do have a slight downgrade on him right now, slight downgrade on Georgia Tech for him being banged up. So that's something that I think if I was watching live, I would watch for, how does Haynes King look? If he looks fine, I'm not sure there's any value. If he looks banged up significantly, or if they can't run him like they want to, then I would probably be looking for Clemson live. So I think that's an injury status that if you're watching it, that's kind of a good spot where the closing line might not be able to take into account how Haynes King looks. So that's an area where you can kind of watch the game and be able to bet your opinion some.
Love it, Mike, giving us useful information. I thought you were onto the show because you look pretty and you're funny, but it turns out you actually know what you're talking about too, so that's a good one. Two more games to talk about here. Let's flip over and talk Georgia Bulldogs taking on Tennessee, the 3:30 game. Right now on FanDuel, Georgia minus 3.5 on the road as favorites. What do you like about this game? Another live angle you have for us, or just give us your opinions on this game in general?
My numbers make it right in line with market. I'm not going to bet the game at all, but just as a gut feel, it feels like Georgia is way too low here. Kirby Smart has had a lot of success against Tennessee in the past. He plays a bunch of different coverages that can kind of confuse Tennessee, which is a more simple offense, those wide splits, and they're trying to run a fast tempo system. Kirby Smart's been an excellent secondary coach, probably the best since Saban, in terms of just getting his guys that are, being able to get a bunch of high level athletes all playing on a string and playing together. Versus a lot of teams, Tennessee is going to get simple mistakes that's going to help them break big plays open. Versus Georgia, you don't see that. So, stylistically, I like Georgia from that side. I can't find any value in the numbers, but just gut feel, it really feels like this is a short line for a Georgia team that I trust a lot and a Tennessee team I do not.
Yeah. All right. Let's flip. Let's flip over to the last game I want to talk to you about here. South Florida taking on the University of Miami. South Florida is I don't want to call them the hottest team in the country, but one of the most fun teams in the country. After, you were well aware in watching it, they beat your Florida Gators, as I think they were 15, 17-point underdogs. They're again 17-point underdogs on the road here. Tell me why I shouldn't be betting on the money line for South Florida for a little bit of fun action, a little bit of a rec bet for a sweat in a really nice game at 4:30 here.
Yeah, Miami has historically been a team that you can find in these kind of letdown spots. The problem for South Florida is that I'm not sure this is a letdown spot anymore. Okay. They're playing a team that everybody has, they're aware of what South Florida is and what they can do at this point. Byron Brown came back and has really helped their offense this year. Last year, they were surprisingly effective without him. I think that people kind of forgot how big of an impact player he can be. So South Florida is certainly a very good team. I would say probably the best group of 5 team right now. But Miami, Florida has a lot of guys, physicality. They're just going to be better athletes than everyone South Florida has. I think that Mario Cristobal is not someone that a lot of people trust. And because of that, you might see that in the numbers some. But with that said, I just don't see how athletically South Florida is going to be able to keep up with Miami, both on the lines of scrimmage. I mean, Miami's got some of the best lines, especially the offensive line in the country. So it's going to be hard for any group of 5 team to really kind of keep up physically with them. So I think that Miami's probably safe here, but if I've already been wrong on South Florida once, so why not make it twice?
All right. So I have one question I have to ask for this game. Do you think someone on Miami will spit in someone on South Florida's face to help them move the ball downfield in the critical point of a game?
I would have to lean no, but the spit is hot. It's 1-0 in its last 1 game. So I think that you have to consider that any kind of trends data you can find.
All right, perfect. Mr. Peanut Butter, that's about it for us here today. Just quickly before you go, your favorite game that you're looking forward to that we didn't mention so far on the college football slate, one that you're going to be watching, maybe one from the 7 o'clock slate, the late slate that you want to see either for looking for new information or more information on a game, or just, throw on the TV, no bet on it, just for pleasure. What do you like here?
Yeah, I'll say go ahead and say Thursday. There's a game that I like. It's NC State versus Wake Forest. I can let people know, since I'm fully down on this game, I have taken a bunch of -7. The market did not agree with me and it has shoved it back in my face. So, well, not shoved it as much as it just has not moved in the way that I thought it would. So I like NC State -7 in this game. -7 plus 100 is probably pretty close as far as value. So you probably have to check that offhand. But yeah, I think that NC State is a pretty good team. I really like their quarterback, their offensive play. Defensively, they've been kind of a mess so far this season, but I still kind of believe in the program and their baseline they've been over the past 5 years. So call me a sucker, but I think that, I'll take the road team in a short week in the same state, trying to get a win here.
I love it. Force bet. Give me some fun on Thursday night that I can watch alongside Thursday Night Football. Mike, appreciate you coming on. We'll talk soon.
See ya.
All right. See ya, Mike. Everyone drop a 1 in the chat for Mr. Peanut Butter. He absolutely crushed. I see people in the chat saying he's funny. I would agree with them. He is pretty funny. Before we get into the next guest, Drew Dinsick, stick around. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL is back, and if you're betting on FanDuel this season, here's something to keep in mind. Number 1, celebrate your wins. Whether it's a same game parlay that has 2 legs or 10 legs, always use your legs to celebrate appropriately. Number 2, no kickoff, no problem. Live betting means the next play could be your play. And number 3, if you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. And now you're ready to play your game on FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Visit FanDuel.com/The Hammer to download the app today and get started. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager, only $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Chatton, Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. All right, up next, we have... He's a betting analyst for NBC Sportsbet, co-host of the Deep Dive podcast, and probably has the best hair in the gambling industry. Let's bring him up here, Drew Dinsick, at Whale Capper on Twitter. How's it going, Drew?
By the way, absolutely loved it. He killed per the usual, and just in general, great addition to gambling Twitter. Haven't had a lot of great new additions. But, I think you guys on Circleback, Peanut Butter, and Ferris were the nominees for Gambling Rookie of the Year last year for the Deep Divies.
Okay.
I think Ferris won, but I voted for Peanut Butter.
All right, I would vote for Peanut Butter too. He's objectively hilarious. Yeah, go ahead.
We don't hold it against him that he cares about minor league football.
Fair enough here. Drew, I'm sad you're wearing a hat. You have the best hair in the industry. What's going on?
I had to get my exercise on, got a little run done, and my hair was gross. So
all right, fair enough. Let's dive into some football then, because we have a lot to talk about here. A couple bets you've already made, and the first one I want to talk about is that Thursday Night Football game, because we have some disagreement, and I'm probably on the wrong side of this, but you wanted to talk about the Washington Green Bay game. So tell us your side and what you like about that game.
Yeah, interesting market. Usually kind of this early in the season, Thursday night football is really just all about like how experienced is your coach, how good is the vibe between your coach and quarterback. And the reason that is because you have virtually no time to make any adjustments to your game plan. You have to have sort of committed to your game plan the week prior, get all the installs sort of softly installed before the week of, because there's just no practice time to say, let's break down the film of Lions and Packers and see what they were doing and make, come up with some adjustments to that. Like, you're kind of just in the blind and just have to stick with what you went, with what your plan was. And I hold Quinn and company high in high regard, certainly higher than I thought going into last season. They proved themselves to be quite effective at coming up with team specific game plans. But even more than that, the fact that they have Jaden Daniels, who seems to have me at least to be like a bit of a wonderkind, a little bit of a prodigy at the quarterback position with how quickly he can make decisions and how often he makes the right decision and the right read under duress. Like this is a team that I think you can bet on with a short week and limited prep time up against the Packers team that is rostered well, but ultimately I still have huge questions about how much of what they do well is LaFleur versus Love. And I think in general, the kind of pre Parsons trade, I would have expected this number to be like Green Bay -1.5, -2. I think these two teams were pretty similarly power rated heading into the year. And then after the Parsons trade, I would have made this number about 3. So the fact that it's a 3.5 to me, kind of signaling that the market is overreacting a little bit to the huge win by the Packers week 1. And I get it. Like, the Packers played great. They had really nice offensive scheming. They made pretty easy work of that Detroit defense. But 2 things happened. One, the injuries to the offensive line, I think, matter. Aaron Banks in particular, and Zach Tom. Both guys are, question marks whether they'll be able to go. And if they do go, are they going to be full strength? Who knows? And, rewatching the tape of Giants Commanders, it was pretty clear, like, there is a game wrecker on that D line. There's 2 of them. Deron Payne, who we knew was a game wrecker. And now Dorrance Armstrong, who just absolutely made whoever he was up against look unprepared. So I think that the fact that you have a bit of a strength there up against an injured O-line, and the fact you could get some quick pressures on Love and really get him to make the bad decisions, all that I think portends well for the Washington defense. And then on the other side, like, Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback right now in the NFL. I don't mind having 3.5, with him under center. Ultimately, is this probably a game decided by who has the ball last? Yes. But I think, the fair should be on the inside of 3, barely. And so having 3.5 feels good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was going to push back on you, but you've convinced me now. Obviously, the offensive line stuff is pretty important here. But when you said that at the end, where it's like the team with the ball last is probably going to win, and it's like, okay, yeah, inside 3, it makes a lot more sense now. I was one thing I was unimpressed by with the Green Bay Packers though was their run game, and I worried now if their offensive line is hurt and Josh Jacobs doesn't look good, their only out is Jordan Love here. And if they can't handle the pass rush with an injured offensive line from the Washington Commanders, I guess that was a blind spot for me because I didn't really rank them that high. Let's flip forward to the next game that I want to talk with you about here. Rams taking on the Tennessee Titans. Titans at home. You like the total in this game. Tell us a little bit why.
Yeah, so Rams defense, I think, is flying a little bit under the radar still. Most of the people's response and reactions to Rams Texans was, oh my God, the Texans offense is still broken. And yes, their offensive line was terrible. But I thought what the Rams did defensively in that game was masterful. They have, a really, really solid up and coming young D line, the pressure that they got. And even more than that, like the way that they sort of metered out effort I thought was kind of nice. Like they have so many different guys who are so good at generating pressure that they were able to kind of pick and choose time and you know, you never really knew which direction the pressure was coming, which really kept CJ Stroud from ever being comfortable beyond just the fact that he had no protection. But it was a really, really solid performance by that Rams defense. And now they go on the road against a Tennessee team who allowed 50% pressure rate. 50% pressure rate for Cam Ward in week 1 is that is a disaster. And then combine that with the fact that Ward certainly did not look to have the green light to scramble. And just in general, you know, was a bit lost against a similar or comparable defense with Denver. To me, all that spells very, very tough times for Titans getting going offensively in this one. And while one of my bigger upgrades as I went through and redid my numbers for week 2 was Stafford's, you know, my expectation for Stafford was, because I came in low on him to start the year just based on the fact that he got very few reps in the preseason and, you know, really thought it was going to be sort of a work in progress before he got to his peak form later in the year. But the tape from Stafford was excellent. He was very, very good, and I upgraded the Rams offense, but I still can't get to this number in spite of that. And some of that is the Rams also dealing with some offensive line injuries. 2 guys question marks in the interior of that offensive line matters. Jeffrey Simmons and the Tennessee Titans pass rush, particularly on the inside, and getting quick pressures on Stafford, and how often they had Stafford under center, and how little Stafford looks like he is capable of running bootlegs and you know, plays out of shotgun. All that to me spells trouble for the Rams offense finding any kind of high flying, you know, high scoring effort here. So you know, the fact that we are getting a number, is it 42.5 right now available?
42.5 juiced under -115 over at FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can capture 41 and 42 is pretty incredible to me. My fare on this one is, I think, 39.5 or 40. Okay. Let me look it up. I'm at 40. So I think you get a pretty decent edge there on that under. And yeah, I mean, until further notice, until the market catches up that this Rams defense is like surely top 10, maybe top 5. I think you got to keep firing under on them.
Yeah, no, I perfectly agree with you on this. That was one of my biggest takeaways from week 1. I have a good friend who's like a massive Rams fan, and I text him. I'm like, why is everyone underrating our Rams? The defense looks incredible. I don't think many people had them as a top 10 unit coming into the year. I'm curious if you did, but yeah, like they're like the last half of the season, we saw like a kind of seismic shift in how their defense played, and that went a lot towards how much Jared Verse played, just increasing his snaps. He looks to be like a potential game wrecker, which is kind of massive to have as an edge rusher in the pass rushing game. So just out of curiosity, where did you have the Rams before? Like how much did you move them up after this week 1?
I had them 12th. Okay. I have them 9th now. Okay. And your point about Jared Verse is very, very valid. He's under 10-1 right now for defensive player of the year, and that checks out to me.
Yeah, I love it. I have him, and we did a draft series over on Forward Progress where we drafted awards markets, four people, 6 players in each team. I was able to grab Jared Verse with the fifth pick. Very happy about that one. Let's move on and talk about the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Carolina Panthers, which could be a potential popular survivor pick if you haven't used Arizona in week 1. Panthers didn't look too hot. In week 1, Panthers didn't look too hot. Arizona Cardinals, I thought, looked okay against like a sort of not very good New Orleans Saints team. I was unimpressed by Arizona, but you liked them in this game, so tell us a little bit why.
Yeah, I guess the first thing to kind of point out is the A versus B versus C. I forget what that math property is, but
transitive property.
It doesn't. What is it again?
Transitive property. Maybe
transitive. That sounds right.
I could be wrong.
That doesn't pass the smell test for last week and this week. The Arizona Cardinals were 6.5 point favorites on the road at the Saints, and now they're 6.5 point favorites at home against the Panthers. Excuse me.
Yeah,
the Panthers and the Saints is that there's 3 or more points difference between the Panthers and Saints? I don't think so. I think the Panthers very much you could make a strong case as the worst team in football. And I think the kind of key aspects of this matchup that I find interesting are, mostly the Panthers' only bright spot on offense I thought was Tetairoa McMillan. He obviously can play. And that is worth monitoring for offensive rookie of the year, surely. And if there's any bright spot to be had in Bryce Young this year, it's him. But the standout defensive player of all rookies by far, I thought, was Will Johnson. He is absolutely a steal in the second round, it looks like, because he is healthy and he can play. And I think he matches up very well against McMillan, which makes things now even more difficult for a Panthers offense that is looking for any answers. I was a little bit unsure, or at least unwilling, to kind of give the Cardinals a better than average defensive rating coming into this season, just because of how weak I thought their secondary was. And you looked at everything and you're like, man, they made all these investments in the front seven. All those guys can play. Like, they look like, and their scheme, it's interesting. It's confusing. It's difficult to kind of make decisions on the fly against these guys. Like, man, if they just hit on Will Johnson, like, this could be a really good defense. And with 1 week of evidence, I say they may have. And for that, for those reasons, I don't know how they're scoring on this, Cardinals team on the road. Second week in a row on the road after playing in Jacksonville last week is not a good situational spot for a young team. And we haven't even gotten to the Panthers defense, who generated no pressure against a bad offensive line in Jacksonville, who was able to do absolutely nothing in terms of unique scheming or coverage, slowing down Trevor Lawrence at all. Trevor Lawrence played poorly and had, relatively little resistance for most of that game. The Jaguars were very, very bad in the red zone. I would not expect the same out of a much more well-coached and a better running team in the Cardinals. So Cardinals, I think, can pretty much pick their number here. And this is sort of, I would say, the team that people are reflecting on after week 2 as like, oh, the Cardinals for real? Well, they played the Saints and the Panthers. Let's cool our jets.
Yeah, I was low on the Cardinals entering the year, honestly, compared to market, but I see what you're seeing in them as well. Also, like, if we're talking about the Carolina Panthers, I hate to do this to my guy Eric Geeker, friend of the show, but yeah, they were very uninspiring. I think the bull case on them was that they'd figure out their edge rushing situation, figure out something in the pass rush. They weren't able to do that. The bull case was that Bryce Young would look like the second half of last year's Bryce Young, not the first half, and that doesn't seem to be the case either. On top of all that, like the cluster injury, I guess not cluster injury, but Jalen Coker getting hurt like the day after they trade for Adam Thielen, just causing a mess with their wide receiver room, wasn't something you really wanted to see. Xavier Legette looked terrible in week 1. McMillan, like you mentioned, is kind of their only out in terms of the passing game there. So yeah, a lot of struggling on the Panthers. And I think you're right when you talk about the Saints versus the Panthers, because like Ritter looked a lot better than people expected. Bryce Young looked a lot worse. I don't think there's all that much separating Carolina and the Saints. I want to ask you though, Will Johnson, I think he was 30-1 to start the year to win Defensive Player of the Year. It's so tough for a cornerback to win. Oh my gosh. And there is like a bunch of pretty strong edge rushers towards the top of the board, but like 14-1, it feels like it's moved quite a bit. Like, do you think there's any value left there? Are you going to try and wait for a game where Will Johnson doesn't look so good before you bet him, or is he someone you'd consider to win Defensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Rookie of the Year? Sorry.
I mean, I would have said the same thing about Surtain for Defensive Player of the Year last year too, but maybe the voting block is getting more sophisticated and they really are gonna, chew the tape. It is so hard for a young cornerback to stand out that, it's by default it's going to take a special season from him. But
yeah,
but again, like if he is sort of the linchpin that gets them to a top 10 defensive rating, then why not? I do want to mention one other thing. As far as market entry, if Ike Ekwonu goes, if he's back and he's, he replaces Yosh Nijman, who was terrible in week 1, there might be some support for the Panthers. So you may be able to get a 6 if you wait.
Oh, very interesting. Appreciate that little tidbit of information. And just on Will Johnson there, he's just a stud. It's just, I'm happy to see him. Like the cornerback room for Arizona is like shaped up so that he's going to get enough playing time there too. So like that guy, great player. Let's flip over and talk some MVP discussion before I let you go here. Quickly, you had a strong opinion, you said, on the MVP awards market. So like, just give it to us before you head out the door.
Yeah. And I mean, this all has to be qualified with, this may just be who's playing for third. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are light years ahead of everyone else in terms of just the quality of quarterback play, and they are rightfully the favorites. And if you look at the Bills' schedule for the rest of the season, I mean, they're favorites in every single game.
Yep.
And it's going to take them doing stupid stuff to not win 14 games this year. So, yeah, and maybe they do stupid stuff this week against the Jets.
Yeah.
Just said. But like ultimately, the third, who belongs in that third spot is kind of the interesting question for me, and I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been more positive move in favor of Justin Herbert here.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, and particularly the pass rate over expectation that we saw from the Chargers, which shouldn't have caught everybody by surprise, because this is a carryover of the way they conducted that offense in the last half of last year.
Okay.
And they just now are kind of turbocharging it. It looks like they may have resurrected some value out of Quentin Johnson. And, if they're just going to let Herbert loose, and he's going to put up the quality of performance we saw from him on Friday, then he is certainly in the mix as your third best choice here. I would kind of toss, at least for now, I would toss a lot of guys in that second tier, including the likes of the Burrows and the Jalen Hurts of the world, just based on some of the issues I have with the offensive scheme and just protection. Certainly in Cincinnati is a question mark. Daniels and Love feels a little bit like a coin flip that one of those guys is going to fall out of the mix this week. But Herbert is going to be favored in every game between now and at least week 14, as long as this team stays healthy. Yeah. That is crazy. I don't know that people realize how favorable this early portion of the schedule is for the Chargers. And if the Chargers are your last undefeated team and Herbert is throwing at the rate he is and at the quality that he did, then it's really, really tough for me to see that he's not a co-favorite with Allen and Lamar, and or just the favorite if either of those teams stub their toe because just they aren't winning games like the way we expect them to win. So, it feels stupid to bet against Josh Allen, considering that I have huge questions with that defense, and now he's probably just going to walk to the 1 seed.
Yeah.
But I do think you got to get some Herbert in that 12-1 range now.
Yeah, I love that price on Herbert, 12-1 right now over on FanDuel. Drew, I appreciate all your insight. It was very, very fun segment here. Reminder, you can follow Drew on Twitter at whale_capper. Drew, we'll talk soon.
Hey, best luck, guys.
Appreciate it. Have a good one. All right, that was Drew Dinsick. One's in the chat for Drew. Always a good time on the show. Always a good-looking guy, like giving us like the upgrade we need for the views. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you're definitely doing yourself a favor. Oh gosh, someone in the chat said Radler, not Ritter. Did I say Desmond Ritter? I think I did the exact same thing that George did last on the Tuesday best.
I got a lot going on here. I didn't catch it.
All right, you got that. Speaking of the Best Bet Show on Forward Progress, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Thursday Best Bet Show, because we're back. We're better than ever. We had the Tuesday edition.
It can't be any worse, can it?
No, it can't. And thankfully for you guys, we kicked Hitman off the show. Coaching decision was made. Hitman's got to get off there. We need some better picks there. So we have Austin Mock, Rob Pizzola, and Fabian Summer to guide you through the entire board. That'll be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Forward Progress YouTube channel. We got Kirk Wing in the wings, but I promise you guys a preview of the GRP video coming out tonight, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell to be notified right when it goes live on YouTube. So, Jacob, you want to pull it up and give the people a preview of what they want to see?
All right, guys. Got the snake hook a few months ago. I placed 3 pieces of wood out right here. We're 200 yards away from Des Plaines River. And it's called board flipping. We're going to flip some boards and see what we got.
So, George, I'll be honest. Part of me thought like I considered last week going out and getting like big rain boots for this excursion. Because I was worried, right? People usually flip boards, snakes. They want to have their...
a snake, hiking book. That's a good idea.
I got these thick ham hocks for them to claw onto. You too.
Yeah, well, again, if we were in Florida or California or like Snake Road in Southern Illinois, you got to worry about that stuff. Here, we're going to get some harmless snakes. I'm pretty sure I put one on my boards right down this path.
Just to confirm, you've never seen a snake here.
I have not. No, that's correct.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, that was a little bit of a preview. Yes, they're going board flipping. Yes, we're hunting for snakes. And I will say it was an electric time being there live. It's also incredible to relive those moments through the video. I had a great time recording that with George, with Jeff. It was honestly so much fun meeting him in person. Hilarious time. And I cannot wait to watch the video. I don't get to see it before it goes live, which kind of sucks. But, hey, that means I get to be there right when it drops, right at 5 p.m. Eastern time. All right, let's talk a little bit about NBA here. Let's bring up Kirk Evans. He's a seasoned basketball bettor. He's seen on Circle Back. His Twitter handle is Kirk Evans 0, and the 0 represents his good football takes. Kirk, come on up here. Oh, do we have Kirk? Give us a second here.
You did, by the way. I did catch it that time. You did say NBA instead of WNBA, which is what I believe you guys are talking about.
Oh yeah, did I say NBA? I meant to say WNBA. Also, when I put on his his little preview before the preview that I mentioned before, we bring up Kirk. I said seasoned basketball bettor because we're going to talk about WNBA instead of just NBA. So there he is, Kirk Evans. We talked about this. Why you look so small in the chair? It looks like you're like 5'0" flat, and you're definitely not.
No, there. I just sat up, but am I blurry? Like my camera doesn't look blurry. I see I'm blurry in the screen. We good?
I think you're fine.
Right.
I think you're fine.
All right, we're coming too. How we doing?
Good. Were you able to hear my intro for you about like specifically the 0 in your name on Twitter?
Yeah. Yes. Zero good NFL takes. Yeah. How many defensive snaps did Travis Hunter play last week?
Not a lot, but hey, well it's a 250 to 1. I'll take that any day of the week.
Can you win an award if you don't play that side of the ball is a good question.
That's a great question. We'll find out towards the end of the year, maybe over a Friday Harbor dinner. And for those of you who don't know, Kirk and I have like a little friendly bet going. I get to buy him Starbucks, a coffee and an egg white spinach wrap if Travis Hunter doesn't win both
Believe
offensive.
me, Jason, those are very good.
Okay,
I can see why I wanted one.
Fair enough.
Literally.
Fair enough. If Travis Hunter doesn't win both offensive and defensive rookie of the year, but if he does win defensive rookie of the year, Kirk is going to take me to Friday Harbor, which is one of the nicest restaurants in all of Toronto, and treat me to a nice
Friday
dinner.
Harbor. What Harbor 60?
Harbor 60. My bad. Friday Harbor's in Barrie.
I like Kirk's side of this bet.
Get
for
it
sure.
together.
I'm all over the place today. All right, let's enough dilly-dallying. Let's get right into the
big bomb bangers.
Sorry.
All good. We need to add more of those. Let's talk a little bit about WNBA playoffs. Lassie was wrapped up last night. We have the playoff format right in front of us. Let's start with let's look at the odds boards. Let's start with the bottom and work our way all the way up to the top. There's two teams kind of in the playoffs right now who I have listed as teams with no hope. It's the Golden State Valkyries and the Indiana Fever. Tell us a little bit about how do you attack them in market, if attacking them at all? Like what are your opinions on those teams?
Yeah, like these numbers are maybe a little long relative, but I'm definitely not betting them. So Fever, no Caitlin. But if you want to bet the Valkyries, I would say wait till tomorrow. They have a big game against Minnesota. If they lose tomorrow, then they play Minnesota. And even if they pull off a miracle there, they'd be road to New York. So they'd be really drawing dead. If they win and end up in the 6th seed, I could see someone like this is a projected, but there's still a game tomorrow. There's still games tomorrow that need to be decided. So if Golden State loses, they'll fall to 8. So yeah, if Golden State wins, passes Seattle, passes Indy, they're on the right side of the bracket. I could see the argument at 150. Like Golden State this year has been, even just what they've accomplished so far has been like Leicester City-esque.
Okay.
Their win total was 7.5. They're going to finish the year with like 24 wins. Full expansion team. Their best player got hurt, out for the year, and they still just win every game. They've been certainly the team that has cost me the most money out of any sports franchise in my betting life. But yeah, I honestly don't have that many strong betting takes here, but I think if you want to bet Golden State, I could see it at these long odds, but have to wait and see before tomorrow.
Hopefully, maybe you look around somewhere, they have these championship odds open while the game is going on. If you see Golden State winning, maybe you jump on it. We'll see. It's 150 to 1 right now over on FanDuel. And if you're talking about the Golden State Minnesota game that's happening on Thursday, it's Golden State is Minnesota, is favored by 7 points. Found the game there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to talk about some teams who are considered the long shot range we have the Atlanta Dream, Phoenix Mercury, and the Seattle Storm. If you had to pick one of these three teams to make it to the, let's call it the finals here, who would you pick and why?
Yeah, well, I guess this is a easy take. If odds were relevant, obviously I'm thinking Atlanta. But even just betting wise, I'm probably, I don't know. All these, I could be convinced into all these teams as bets. Phoenix has a very tough road. They're the team I'm actually on the most for futures, and now are going to have to play New York and Minnesota. Atlanta, their side of the bracket is just so much weaker, and they're only going to have to play one of Minnesota or New York. It's tough because I don't know if their high-end talent can quite match those teams, but they could definitely beat Vegas. They're going to be huge favorites in round one. And then, you look for some injury luck or a tired Minnesota or New York in the finals. Like, I could be convinced. Seattle at 45-1 also. It's close. Again, I would wait and see before betting that. But if they get the right side of the bracket, 45-1 is pretty interesting. They're just as talented as Phoenix, Atlanta, Vegas, I would say. They've been priced around as good as them all year, but they just have not been able to figure it out and put it together. But if they do, 45-1 probably is pretty good, especially if they end up in the 6th seed.
Yeah, all right, fair enough here. And I probably should have done a better job grouping these teams now looking back at the odds, but it's all right. We roll with the punches.
Seattle's a bit on an island of
in between,
a long shot, but not quite as long as Golden State and Indiana.
Yeah.
And then Phoenix and Atlanta are kind of in the same boat, similar teams, similar records, but Phoenix has much harder of a path.
All right, let's talk about then the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces, the championship contenders here. New York Liberty plus 330, and the Aces are plus 400. If you had to pick one to win at current odds, who would you pick and why?
Yeah, so these two teams are essentially the exact opposite.
Okay.
The Liberty have just been absolutely terrible heading into the playoffs. Like, if you told me fully healthy Liberty were plus 330 going into the playoffs at the start of the year, I would think that that's just a massive smash spot. They won the title last year. They were market rated the best team in the league for most of the year. And then, they got hurt and they just couldn't, they just have not been able to figure it out. And the market has really reacted to that. And now they also have a really tough road where they're on the road against Phoenix in round one, and then would have to be on the road against Minnesota. So I think it would be tough to justify that bet. I'm probably not. I probably honestly have both of these around even, and I'm not betting either of them. The Aces are the exact opposite. They started the year absolutely horrible. They've won like 15 straight games going into the playoffs and are probably going to end up the 2 seed and have a really good road. Maybe talk myself into it. Maybe Vegas at plus 400, considering they're going to be really big favorites in round one. They have their second best player in the world, and their path to the finals. They're just going to be really big favorites in round one and pretty clear favorites in round two, assuming they lock up that 2 seed. But again, I think they could play Seattle in round one. So I really would be waiting before betting any of these to see, because like if they get Golden State in round one, I'd feel way better that that's just going to be a walkover. But if they get Seattle in round one, like Seattle's just a very good team who way underperformed this year. So I would not want to bet anyone at plus 400 if they're playing Seattle in round one, who's just a really tough first round opponent.
Yeah, and if we're looking at New York right now, FanDuel has markets open for their first round matchup, which is already locked in. New York taking on Phoenix, currently priced New York minus 154 on the road. Let's talk about the odds-on favorite to win the WNBA championship, the Minnesota Lynx. What makes them the favorite? What makes their team so good, and why are they so far ahead of the rest of the board?
Yeah, so they've been by far the most consistent team all year, even with Nafisa Collier, who's the best player in the world right now, maybe second to Asia. Missed 10 games so far this year, maybe even a few more. They've been dominant throughout the whole year. They've actually maybe been just okay the last week, but other than that, they've just been kind of clearly the best team in the league. They made the finals last year, probably should have won, other than on like a really sketchy foul call late in an elimination game. But again, I know I hate to be the guy who's like not really saying any bets, but I could not take this team at plus 100 with having New York on their side of the bracket. They're going to probably have a pretty easy matchup in round one. They're the most consistent team. They don't have the most talent. I would say New York is the most talented team in the league. But yeah, they're definitely the favorite for sure. I think that's totally fair, but I wouldn't put them above 50%.
All right, sounds good. We wouldn't put them at above 50%. Maybe there's some better prices you can find out there on them. Before you go, chat is asking some very important questions. What is your take on the regular season MVP pricing for the WNBA regular season MVP? Aja Wilson right now is minus 1,100, and then Nafessa Collier at plus 600. Do you feel like that's in the correct spot? There's one game left. Can like anything Nafessa do? Like, can she do anything in this last game to maybe boost her odds a little bit, or is this just pretty much Aja's award to win?
Yeah, like just based on all of the kind of media like articles coming out, it seems like Aja's gonna win. It's kind of surprising to me. Like, I think Fee has had a better year. It feels like the media is really just ignoring the fact that Vegas was like a 500 team for the first 50% of the year. But yeah, I don't know. I think the awards market is like the decision makers are being a bit drunk. It seems like Nafisa also is completely drawing dead in depoy for absolutely no reason. But yeah, I would probably bet on Nafisa if I had to make a bet between the minus 1,100 and the plus 600, just because I do think there's some of the fact that Asia won MVP last year, and these two are really neck and neck, and Nafisa just has never won one of these awards. But based on everything that is coming out, it does really seem like Asia's going to win.
All right, fair enough here. And guess what? You gave out Nafessa plus 600 right now on the show. So when this award gets announced, Eric Churn is going to be in the chat telling you, why would you tell me this? You're wrong. Why? I can't believe you did this to me. So it's on your conscience now if it loses. So just
no, I absolutely do not recommend that bet. I think it's less than whatever that is, right. 13-14%. But
around there,
I wouldn't bet Asia at like over 90% implied.
All right. Before you go, did you have your resignation letter written up after the first half of this Monday Night Football game? And then what's the Friday newsletter going to be about? Is it victory lapping JJ McCarthy?
Can you tell me who the NFC Offensive Player of the Week was this week?
JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. So does that mean he's on pace for MVP? Because I think that's how I see it.
If he wins the MVP, I'll eat a shoe. Actually, no, maybe I won't do that. I don't want to make any of these bets.
We have it on screen.
I said I will not do that.
Eat a shoe.
I'm clipping that. Clipping that.
You will. We'll get an edible shoe. We can boil it up a little bit.
All right, sounds good, Kirk.
This week's newsletter, I'm debating two topics, but I think it'll be what makes a good bet.
Okay.
Is what it'll be.
All right, sounds good. What makes a good bet? You can expect that on Friday. Make sure to subscribe to the Hammer newsletter because guess what? There's another newsletter dropping tonight, and Kirk's not on it, so there's actually some valuable information there. So anyways, Kirk, appreciate you joining us. You can catch Kirk on the Monday edition, now live, of Circle Back right after this show on Monday. Kirk, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, awesome stuff, guys. What a great show today.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't really have to do anything. The guests were incredible. Like I was just like a liaison for conversation. And that's
what would you actually do if JJ McCarthy won MVP?
I would not show my face again. Listen, I'm already a Caleb Williams apologist, which is incredibly hard to be in the public space. So, yeah, I regret that. I regret that saying those things.
I actually didn't know JJ McCarthy won Offensive Player of the Week. He was good for half the game. He's very, very good for half the game. But
I wouldn't say very good, but.
Yeah,
he threw a pick, the pick six. Like he contributed.
He was great in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he sandbagged a bit.
It was a good comeback, but I don't know. I guess I can't think of anybody who outperformed him off the top of my head.
Obviously Dak lost, but Dak had like a way, if we're talking about like box score didn't look that good, but Dak had like a way better game in terms of impact, in my opinion, as an offensive player.
Yeah, we lost. I mean, you got to really.
Against the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I didn't expect JJ to win it.
Yeah, for sure. Neither did I. I think that was a little bit of bias because it was a primetime standalone game. But whatever, it is
good
what
show.
it is.
Yes, it was a good show.
All right, let's look ahead to tomorrow then, because we actually also have a really fun, good slate at 12 o'clock. At 12:05, sorry, we have China coming on to talk a little bit of Thursday night football props, maybe touch a little bit on college football as well. And then we have my favorite recurring guest of all of them on the Thursday, Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus. We're going to be talking college football.
Jeff Nadeau's on tomorrow?
Jeff Nadeau is on tomorrow.
Awesome.
I'm so excited and looking forward to that. And then finally, we have Hitman. So if you're subscribed to his prop service, hopefully he won't give out a bet right before the show like he just did to me. Again, we talked about this, Hitman. Please stop doing that before you head out. Do us a big favor. 3 things. 1, smash the like button. 2, if you're new to the channel and this is the first time watching the Hammer Daily, you made it this far in the show, it means you like it. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, because then you'll also be notified when the GRP video goes live. And then also, if you're not new here, if you've done both those things, you've liked, you've subscribed, do us a favor, tell a friend about us. We were looking to try and grow this channel, 3,700 subscribers. They're trying to get it to 4K by the end of September, so would be a big help for me. That's been the Wednesday, September 10th edition of the Hammer Daily presented by FanDuel here on the Hammer Betting Network. It's been a lot of fun, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.